Hello, welcome to our channel. I apologize for it being like probably a month since we've uploaded a video, but as some of you are probably aware, my husband has been in the hospital, so it's been a little bit of a fiasco with that. He is doing better and is doing well, so no worries there. He was on the couch, and he was complaining of chest pains and looking like he had a foot in the door. All of a sudden I hear him say something. He's right here on the couch. I walk up to him, and I'm like, everything okay? Do you need something? You know what he says to me? A gravestone. I'm like, that is not funny. That is not funny. That is not what I need right now. Of course I started to laugh because that's so typical him. So we run to the hospital. Long story short, he has an infection in his heart, and now the antibiotics are working and it's starting to go away, but it's a very slow process. So I just wanted to get into a little bit of, the pros and cons of an age gap relationship, because a lot of people, when this type of thing happens health-wise, they're like, I couldn't handle that, they're older, that could happen all the time, blah, blah, blah. But I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, I know somebody who had a similar situation not too long ago, and we had other friends who had an infection around their heart and stuff, and they were in their 20s, 30s. So this kind of thing can happen to anybody, and it just reinforces the fact that age really doesn't matter. Something could happen to any one of us at any time, and we might be in the hospital for weeks on end, and we might have to have 2 months of recoup time where you can't really do anything, and you're pretty much sleeping all the time, and you can't lift anything, and all that kind of stuff. So, yet again, it's just showing me, the age thing really doesn't matter. During this couple of weeks he's in the hospital, I was able to go and visit only for a few hours each day, one person at a time, and I went and saw him, not every day, but pretty much. He was eating like a pig. I'm like, you are terrible. You give him an inch, he'll take a mile. Clearly. He was getting anything he wanted. They were even giving him, he's a diabetic, so they have sugar-free options. They were giving him vanilla ice cream every night. I'm like, how did you even... He's like, I figured out the trick. I order my carbs through the room service. They have so many, they keep a close look on it. He goes, but the nurses, at the end of the night, I just tell them I want a vanilla ice cream. They have it on the floor. They don't even have to bother the food place. He didn't care. He was happy as clam, spoiled, acting like king of the castle. They all loved him because, of course, he schmooze talks all of them. But when he got home, I was like, okay, your blood sugar's out of control. We need to, you need to slow your roll here. This is a little bit much. And he's like, I know. An ice cream would be pretty good. And I'm like, I am not going and getting an ice cream. You know what he says to me? Heart palpitations. Oh, heart palpitations. So, the first few nights that we were home, I was clearly still stressed out. I mean, because, in my mind, I'm like, his heart could just give out at any moment. It could just tire out and be done. Throughout the night, for the first 3 or 4 nights, I'm like, I'd wake up, look over, and he lays like a dead corpse. Like, seriously, it is the worst thing ever. He lays on his back. Half the time, his hands are like this, and his mouth's hanging over there. And he's got issues going on. So I'm like, oh my God, did he die? Is his heart still beating? And I'm looking at his chest so then I just reach my hand over. Okay, his heart's still beating, I'm good. And I do this a couple times a night. Okay, it's so stupid. So after a few nights, I finally tell him one night that, I said, I'm fairly proud of myself. I said, I've had a lot of, anxiety and stress over this. I said, but I think I've handled it fairly well. I've only checked your pulse 4 times in the middle of the night. I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself. He looks at me and he goes, that sounds like unconcerned. And I said, no. That's called self-control. He starts dying laughing. And I'm like, you have no idea. And then I proceed to tell him all these scenarios I've thought of. And I'm like, don't worry. If your heart stops at any point, I will know immediately because I am on high alert at all times, and I'll just beat you in the chest. It'll jumpstart it. You'll come right back. No worries. You are well taken care of. I am on point. And he's dying laughing. And he's like, hey, I didn't just spend 2 weeks in the goddamn hospital to come home and die in bed.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter how horrible things look, we still try and laugh every day, still try to make it fun. That's just who we are, and we're both content and happy with that. I feel like the number one con to dating somebody 20 or 30 years older is the fact that you are aware they're probably going to be gone before you. And some people can't handle that. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. Another thing too is having to take care of them. That is a non-issue for me. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you're in your 20s, you could be partying and doing this and running around and blah, blah, blah. That's never been me. I've never even been to like the high school parties or nothing like that. That's just not who I am. I am completely content being a homebody. The other thing too that can be a con to age gap relationships, they have any children or anything like that, that can sometimes be an interesting dynamic. My husband does have a daughter. She's a year older than me. Fortunately, we get along great, and she's supported us. She was the first one to support us, actually, since day one. We have a grandson, and he's 3 now, and he's absolutely adorable. So we're fortunate in the fact that both of our families are very close. Everyone is supportive, and we're lucky. Though sometimes that cannot be the case. Another potential con also is somebody who is per se 50s or 60s might not want to have children, might not want to get married, may have and want different things in their life. You know, really talk about and think about the things that you really want or you're possibly going to want someday. Fortunately, we are on the same page. I've never really wanted children. He's the only child I need in my life. He's a baby, and he knows it. We made sure that what we wanted in life we were going to want, so this would work and be okay long term. Those are some of the cons that can, kind of present themselves when you get in an age gap relationship. So think about that if you're one of the few that are starting to get into one. Now, the pros, which I've kind of gone over as well in this, is the fact that you start to see everything a little differently, I feel like. Before I got into the age gap, I was like, I don't know, I feel like an age gap over 20 years is a little strange. I never judged it, but I felt like it was strange. I'm like, what could they have in common? Like, I don't get it, because I never saw it other than on TV, celebrities and stuff, just because of how I grew up, where I live. So I'm like, I just don't get it. I look at things totally different now. I'm like, certain things just really don't matter as long as you're both happy and you're both content and you're obviously of age. Don't get me wrong. It really opens your eyes, and I've obviously opened up the door in the last year with everybody in our community, and it's been amazing because we're just being ourselves, and we're not throwing it in people's faces. We're not we don't talk about it other than on here. Out in public, we just act like ourselves, and people see that, and they see that there's a relationship there, and people have come out of the woodwork just so happy and loving it, and it's been awesome. So I feel like the biggest pro really is the fact that it's opened other people's eyes, but also both of ours as well. And the other pro is, for us anyways, we both feel like we've definitely found our soulmates and our other half. So, you can't really beat that. Thank you for watching our videos. If you have any comments or questions, write them below. We will answer just about anything. And please subscribe so you can see our next videos and anytime we post any little funny short clips as well. Thank you for watching and supporting us. Bye!